Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a very exciting video. It is in fact, like it says in the title, a sketchbook tour. I am very excited to share this sketchbook with you as it's a little bit different than some previous ones that I have done. I started this sketchbook in April of 2021. And I just now finished it. It is February 2022. I'm realizing I need to add the date on the side here, but you get the drift. This specific one is the Moleskine Plain Notebook. So I will put a link down below. It will be an affiliate link to my Amazon storefront, but it is specifically the Moleskine Plain Notebook paper book. It's not technically a sketchbook, is what I'm trying to say. It is quite literally just a notebook with plain paper. It is not considered like a real sketchbook. The reason why I fell into this is that I wanted something that just would be really loose and fun, and I really love the crinkle. So when I got this, I decided that it was going to be my off-camera crinkle sketchbook. Basically, the sketchbook that I would work in and draw in off camera. I wouldn't put the pressure on myself to film it or document it, which is a hard thing as a artist slash content creator. Whenever I'm doing something, whether it's in a sketchbook or my planner journal or my art journals, I always have this pressure, like I have to document it, whether it's, you know, for Instagram or here on YouTube or Patreon. So I wanted to have a creative space, a creative sketchbook where I could just let loose and do my own thing and not feel like I have to document it. Now, I sort of let go of that rule as I continued working in it and found how much I freaking loved it. This became like my go-to sketchbook of sorts. I would not recommend this as like your first sketchbook. Like if you're looking at this and you're trying to find a good sketchbook to work in, I would not recommend this as a beginner sketchbook because it's not really a sketchbook. It really is a notebook, and it's terrible for wet media, it's terrible for ink, it's terrible for watercolors. As a mixed media artist, it is not great for a variety of media, but it gets so crinkly. Do you hear it? You hear the crinkle? I just fell in love with it so much of how crinkly it was, and because this was like my off-camera sketchbook, I really felt like I was really loose and did a lot of messy, crazy stuff. And it kind of became like my go-to sketchbook of where I would kind of work out the kinks of things, whether that was things that it would later end up in my art journal or sticker designs or video concepts or all sorts of things. This became my BFF basically. So this is the off-camera crinkle. A lot of people might consider this like an ugly sketchbook. That is a very common thing that a lot of artists do. They have just kind of that like side sketchbook that is where you're allowed to kind of get messy and not have perfect, beautiful pages. That's kind of what this guy is for me a little bit. But again, it was just really my place to be off camera and have fun. As I mentioned, I did break that rule once I started working in it because I just fell in love with how crinkly it was. And because it was my go-to sketchbook, it did end up making its way on camera quite a bit, but I still kept the name my off-camera crinkle because I thought that it was kind of fun. Anywho, that all said, there will be a link for this again down below. It is the Moleskine Plain Paper Notebook. That is what this is. It does come in fun colors. I've already purchased a second one in a crazy lime green color, so I'm excited to start working in that. But let's get on to the tour now. I will give you an overhead chatty walkthrough of all the pages and everything that is in here. And I will also film a non-chatty, just music only flip. So if you don't want to listen to me talk, just wait till that video comes out. It should be out around when this one does. So if you just want to see a music flip through tour of it, you can check that out there. I believe that is all for now. So let's get into the flip. I really love my little off-camera crinkle, and I'm happy to report that I have completed it. It's a chunky little guy, so I'm going to talk you through everything that is in here. I don't have many stickers on the front. Usually I really cover my sketchbooks with stickers, but I kept it really simple this time around. These stickers are my own stickers. They are from the advent calendar that I did at the end of last year. I started this in, you can barely see it with the pen, and actually I need to write my completion date. April of 2021 is when I started this, and it is now February at the time that I'm filming this. I finished this in February of 2022. So not bad, not bad. Under a year. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into the flip here. I really did not put a lot of stuff in this as far as stickers go. I really, like I said with my cover, I kind of go crazy usually, and I really kept it simple this time around with just using my own stickers. So there you go, and some random washi tape. A Phoebe Bridgers lyric, which I really, really loved. I was very into this song when I started this. And this is always that awkward first page in Moleskine notebooks and sketchbooks, and in most sketchbooks, where it's kind of stuck to the front. So I always try to do something weird. I just cut random stars on it and wrote awkward first page. Here's where I labeled it my off-camera crinkle, kept it really loose. I was really practicing a lot of things in here because I didn't know how the paper was going to go. It did like Posca pens pretty well, because that's a Posca paint pen. Here's some weird 3D experimentations. It kind of makes your eyes go wonky, but I'm also like kind of in love with it. Here's where, do I only use one side? Depends. Here are some little sketches for little spell books. They're really little. Teeny, teeny, tiny. I should illustrate that. It's actually really cute. I never went back and finished it. I think I was working on an idea for a set of mini stickers. You'll see that there's a lot of preliminary sketches that live in here. So it's kind of where I would go to just like start sketching something. This is from a coloring book that I got from Comic-Con a really, really long time ago. I don't know who the artist is, unfortunately, and it might even be a compilation of artists, but I just had this random page, and I really liked the way the line work looked, so I stuck it in there, but I unfortunately don't know who that is, sorry. But here's a good example of me working towards a sticker design. So I'll do like a really, really rough sketch and slowly like refine it over time until I have a pretty good like contour drawing to then transfer into a different sketchbook, which is the Strathmore Mixed Media sketchbooks, is really where my illustrations live, because that paper is really great for mixed media stuff. This was me playing around again with more mini sticker ideas. Here is the severed finger. It was the first time that I had started to do that concept. I think around this time too was April Art Challenge, maybe? I think the April Art Challenge was going on, so a lot of those sketches are from that. Here's a sketchy, inky castle. Here's where I was in this really crazy rotten fruit phase. This is the first place that I was sketching like bananas and skulls with bananas and fruit rotting, and then like the stickers for fruit. You'll also see a lot in this sketchbook that I do let my 2-year-old son get into my pages. So sometimes he'll draw stuff and I will draw stuff on top of it, or I'll turn it into a spread, or I just leave it. So there's a lot of messy stuff around. Yes, this was definitely the April Art Challenge, because you can see where I have my April Art Challenge like list over here of things that I need to draw. Here's a moon. This ended up being a sticker, actually. This is actually the initial concept design for just like doing little stickers as envelopes. I got really hot into that idea. Here's the poison apples, which later turned into stickers. A hot air balloon, messy bottles, my toddler. This was an initial idea to come up with a tattoo ticket for Etsy. I still have not finished this. I really need to design something for a tattoo ticket so that I can put that in my Etsy shop. When in doubt, bananas. This was definitely all April Art Challenge stuff. I remember one of the prompts was robot, because I don't ever draw tech things. Like, this was a real challenge for me. And I remember like trying to get to a finished illustration, and I really didn't, so I just posted this instead. More messy 2-year-old drawings. This was a concept sketch for an art journal spread that would later become like the haunted house spread, a really, really detailed thing. But this was the basic concept of it, and also colors. I was playing with colors here so that I could kind of rework it again into an art journal spread. More April Art Challenge prompts. I think this is all still April Art Challenge, just trying to come up with different ideas of things. Color combinations. This mushroom ended up becoming a sticker, which I really liked. Sad little mushroom gal is what I wrote there. I think this was for the prompt treasure. I did a little mimic organ with ghosts. Did this become a sticker? I don't know if I actually turned this into a sticker, but I did end up doing a finished illustration of it. This was just the initial drawings for it. Some pugs. I still love the idea of doing pug stickers at some point and then donating the money to Pug Rescue. I'd really love to do that. At some point I'll do it, but I was trying to do Lurch at the time, who unfortunately is no longer with us, and Boo Boo. This does look like Boo Boo. I don't know if I captured Lurch in that one, but I still want to do that. Vaccination stickers. I have transferred these into my more finished sketchbook, so I'd love to get a more cleaned up version of that at some point. This is for Comic Club, my comic book club over on Patreon. This was for the book Through the Woods. I was just referencing colors and different designs and trying to kind of pull some techniques out of that a little bit. Oh, you hear that page crinkle? I love it so much. The Ouija moth. This was an idea that I kind of experimented with very early on, and it ended up turning into a sticker in the Advent. Actually, that's one of the stickers that's on the front, is the little Ouija moth. Love that design. I'd love to expand on this more and come up with more of them. This is when I was really starting to design stuff for the Advent, so you'll start to see some really early sketches of that. And I'm just using a ballpoint pen on most of this. This is also Comic Book Club. This is for the book Night Lights, obviously. I even wrote notes here. Here's my Midsummer sticker designs. These actually did end up turning into legit stickers. Advent, more Midsummer. I love Midsummer. It's probably one of my favorite movies. This was all brainstorm ideas for the Advent calendar, trying to come up with different designs. Here's Owl Girl and the bottled mushrooms. If you got the Advent, that's what these stickers are. This was also a sticker design. These were all sticker designs for the Advent that I had to keep secret for a very long time. Here's the bird with the mushrooms. This was what the first version of it looks like. There's always a lot of versions of things before I get to like a final cleaned up version of the illustration. This was the first take on it. Here's the teeth, also from the Advent. This was a snail I was experimenting with, trying to do different patterns on the shell with little ghosts and candy corn and stuff. This is also from Comic Book Club, Night Lights. This was just a figure study from looking at the comic. Here's the starry witchy sketch that ended up being in the Advent calendar. These are all Halloween Happy Mail sticker ideas. 2 of these ideas ended up making it into the Advent. This was playing with colors for these different mail designs. Here's some of them. You can see where I was playing with a candy corn idea. I still think that would be fun, but these ended up being the designs that I went with. A Haunted Mansion theme and then a Beetlejuice theme. I don't know what's going on this one. Random swatches and an IV bag. This was a really big concept sketch that I was working on for an art journal spread. I did end up finishing this one, but I was even practicing this particular technique that I was doing and trying to get the scale right. And here is the transfer that I used to actually get it into my art journal spread. Some weapons, a chicken, a weird frog with mushrooms coming out of its rib cage. I still would like to pursue this idea a little bit more. I think it could be kind of interesting. Don't look ugly pugs. Just some ugly pugs there. This is when I was painting the Advent envelopes. I painted all of them myself. It ended up being like, I don't know, over 3,000 envelopes that I painted myself. So this was my like color swatching page and when I would stamp stuff. This ended up being backgrounds that I used in my washi tapes. This is Comic Book Club on Patreon for the book Beautiful Darkness, obviously. Playing with some gouache and watercolor. I think, oh, well, there's colored pencil in there too. Gouache and colored pencil? I don't know. I like this one. New sticker designs, which I had done like months ago and then later revisited and have created now an entire line of stickers based on this, which you'll see a little bit later on. This was planning my son's 2nd birthday. We had a Coco themed birthday party, so I did these really big cardboard cutouts for our backyard. So I was trying to sketch them out and figure out the color combos and stuff. This is an idea for a video series that I would love to do on YouTube at some point called Sketch and Scream, where I literally draw while I'm watching a horror movie. So it's like just spooky. It's all horror movies and drawing while watching a horror movie. So I was watching Fear Street Part 3 when that came out. Here's a Jungle Cruise. I was referencing an old photograph of the Jungle Cruise. This is an example of kind of like a cover-up spread of sorts where my son had doodled underneath and then I kind of drew on top of it and just incorporated it into it. So you can see some of his little doodles over here, and then there's some underneath the paint over here. So just really loose and messy. Random sketches. This was also a concept for an art journal spread. I still haven't finished it, but I did get this illustration, the drawing, into the page, so it's coming along. A well walker. This is just a whole random mishmash of things. A snake. Bricks. This is for comic book club as well. There's a lot of comic book club in this, I didn't realize. For the book Sheets, just doing like a color palette study and creating some landscapes and patterns inspired by that. More Sheets studies as well, I believe. Here's where we get into Peachtober. So I had some of the Peachtober prompts up here and then was just doing really messy sketches from it. I love these tulips. These vampy tulips ended up getting turned into a sticker, so I really loved those. So you can see here, this is all like where the preliminary drawings live, and then the really like finished illustrations end up in other sketchbooks, which I have a couple that are near completion. So an upcoming illustration sketchbook tour is coming soon. I love this one. That was for the prompt Fall. This was for Treehouse. You can see where I started with like a really detailed thing and then just pared it down to something really simple. Thunder. You can see where I worked. I originally was going to do like an actual girl's head and then just did a skull instead. Little ghosts. I always love drawing ghosts. It's just a weird, messy page. Random things. I was clearly trying to work out something. A spooky claw machine. Something coming out of a grave. I don't know what this is from. Day 10, Peachtober for Frog. Here is the skull rainbow. This did end up becoming an actual sticker. The honey bottle, which I also really like. And then a whole bunch of just messy ideas. I was trying to come up with something for Spooky Scout. Here is the Murder Toast illustration that I started with. Gremlins. I always have a hard time drawing gremlin stuff, but I always want to draw gremlins really badly, and then I go to do them and I really struggle. Also here, really messy bottle drawings that I really didn't end up liking. This was for Scout, the prompt Scout. I originally thought that I would do like a Ghoul Scout, like merit badge thing, and then I ended up just doing like a full blown little skeleton scout. The little bottles of teeth down here. Here's the Ghoul Scout. Also Summit, the little skull with mountains and stuff. This was for Match. This ended up in a journal spread. A random cat, a random girl with just mess. You can see again, my 2-year-old has joined me here. These were more Peachtober prompts, but they made their way into art journal spreads. Towards the end of Peachtober, I was doing like more mixed media stuff rather than just straight illustration. So all of these ended up in journal spreads in my little Dr. Seuss art journal. A random beetle. These were some fonts that I ended up including in a digital download for Patreon. And just random bleed through, but I like to outline bleed through stuff with colored pencils just because I think it looks cool. This was also Comic Book Club. This was for the book Witches. You got some apples. A random face, a fork. I just was doing random things here. Animal Crossing. Love me some Animal Crossing stuff. I think I had just gotten some of these colors and was playing around with stuff. I don't know. There's a bunch of ghosts. It's like my comfort doodle. Random mushrooms. I was house sitting for my parents, so some of this is just really random because I was trying to just work in one book and get as much stuff done as I could. Some random head drawings, weird hands, paint. This is from Jesse's Critter Carousel at DCA. I wanted to create some of these little characters to put into my planner journal, so I sketched them out here first, so that's where those are from. My son is very into Monsters Inc., so he will often request drawings from me. So I did a whole study of Monsters Inc. stuff. Some of this is referencing the original concept art from Monsters Inc. You'll see I get into a pretty heavy Disney thing the deeper I get into this. I found that studying Disney image, like original concept art, was really inspiring, and it was a really great way to like warm up my hand. So I would often pull Disney concept art from different movies, and I would reference that and just sketch it just to get myself warmed up, and then I could move on into kind of drawing my own weird things. Some weird little devil girls, a really ugly Madame Leota. I actually like really hate this, but it's fine. This was me trying to plan out decorations for our front yard. In our town, people take decorations very seriously, especially come Christmas time. So I wanted to do big wood cutouts. So I was trying to come up with a theme. Originally, I thought I was going to do like a Peanuts thing. I thought about doing a Gremlins thing. I still love the idea of being like the Gremlins house and having gremlins all over my house. Like getting into trouble and eating lights and like popping out of trees and stuff. But I ended up going with a Monsters Inc. theme instead. Again, for my son, so I did like a snowman mic. I was playing around with the Yeti. I didn't end up, or the Abominable Snowman rather, sorry. I didn't end up doing him, but I did do a mic. Here's more cleaned up versions of the Mike and Sully. This was, I was referencing something that I'd found on Pinterest for this. I ended up changing the whole look of this, but this is pretty close to what ended up in the final one. More like doodles, trying to figure out if I could have Sully like peeking around a tree, which is what I ended up doing. My final cutout looked more like this. Tyler from Monsters at Work, such a cute show, by the way, highly recommend. This was the plans for our gingerbread house. You can kind of see underneath that I have things like numbered. Every year we build a gingerbread house from scratch. So I wanted to sketch it out ahead of time. And then I basically create the template for us that we then bake the big pieces and put it all together. So this was my initial concept art. We did Zero's doghouse for our gingerbread house this year. Again, I let my son go wild here. And I decided to cut and scallop these a little bit so it kind of looked like gingerbread, just because I thought that it would be kind of fun. Hard to see some of these doodles, but they're very fine line eyeballs and little leaves, leafy leaves. I was playing with the idea of doing like a star altar of some sort and turning that into a sticker. Never happened. Here are the more cleaned up sticker designs that kind of I referenced early on that had the little juice box. I expanded on that, and this ended up actually becoming, not only are there stickers that are going to be in my shop very soon, if not already, it's going to be a sticker set. They came out really cool. I'm like so in love with it. But it also was a video that I did over on Patreon as well. These are more just sticker design ideas. I'm always trying to come up with ideas, and so I just write lists of things. Playing with some fonts. They'll probably end up in a digital download or something. Really messy, random sketches. Pugs, eyeballs, bottles. I meant to fill up both of these pages with this doodle, but never finished. I found this pen at a yard sale, and I just kind of went ham playing with it. Here's an idea for a sketchbook rat. I did this guy really fast and just got some color into him just so that I could capture the idea in my head. And I also like wrote down notes and swatches and stuff so that I could come back and reference this and explore it a little bit further, which I do later on. Here's the pen from that yard sale. I wrote the ink turns pink because it does turn pink when you get it wet. Some Thumper, Bambi Bunny studies here. Again, just trying to warm up. Here are some ugly hands, some better hands, and some Alice in Wonderland concept art. Again, just keeping my hand really loose. I also dug into my old gouache, my Reeves gouache, and kind of went ham. I found that it works really well on this crinkly paper. Like it's really vibrant. I mean, you can see it. It's like really pops. And it dries super matte, and it's really fun to work with on this paper. I mean, it even blends pretty well, honestly. That's just like cheap gouache, but yeah, I really love it. Here's the sketchbook rat, a more cleaned up version of him. I am working on turning him into a sticker. These were different art supplies that I sort of auditioned into his paws for when I created my transfer. This is part of a whole like creative critters sticker idea that I have. You'll see too, I play with worms a little bit later, and I've got like a cockroach. Just sort of playing with the idea. This is just my own take on Haunted Mansion stuff. I really, really would love to do a Haunted Mansion sticker set. I just have to play with that idea a little bit more. So I'm still kind of working that out. More Alice in Wonderland concept sketches to warm myself up. This was a whole bunch of tigers. I was playing with tigers initially for Lunar New Year, and then I just kind of snowballed into these weird other animals like a pug and a cat because I really liked the pose of this tiger. So I wanted to try it with other animals and then even play with different color combinations to see what I could kind of land on. I'm still working on this a little bit. I have transferred 2 tigers of like this one, and I want to try a couple different color palettes. Filling up random space, some tiger ghosts. I was mainly just experimenting with colors from the previous page. Some big scissors. I was nearing the end of the sketchbook, so I was really like on a mission to try to get it done. Mushrooms. I always love doing mushrooms. Val from Monsters at Work. This was a request from my son, so I doodled her. Here's the tiger that I transferred into my other sketchbook. I always like to put my transfers back into my sketchbooks because they just look cool. Here's my little Leota that I was working on. Again, a potential sticker design. I was even just playing with some patterns like from the stretching room. More Haunted Mansion stuff. Can you tell I had just been to Disney? Playing with Haunted Mansion stuff again. The spooky clock, the candle, even just doing like really rough mansion sketches. Just having fun. Starting to think that I hate cats. I really do not like drawing cats. They're just really annoying. I don't even know why I was doing this. I think I was inspired by drawing the other animals, so I wanted to push it and see if I could go any further. I do like this cat skull that I did up here, so I might explore that a little bit more. Yeah, more skulls and stuff. Hands, I love drawing hands. This is always really fun. And then I also had this really random idea to do like coffee stickers or just like coffee, creepy coffee. Playing with like the Starbucks logo, but transforming it into like a skull with like a bat crown and stuff like that. Just make it a little bit more playful. Again, more of the coffee idea, death before decaf kind of vibes. Playing with color combinations and then even like mugs. I just think they might be really cute as like little mini stickers, like a mini sticker set. I don't know. Here are worms. This is very difficult of me here. This is part of that like creative critters idea. Originally I thought I would do one where it's like holding art supplies. I might still do that, to be honest with you, but I ended up going into this direction with it, and it's like this weird dragon caterpillar thing, but I'm also like really in love with it. I'm still exploring this a bit more. We'll see where it ends up. More messy final pages here, some still life drawings, quick sketches, just drawing straight up with watercolor and a brush. It was very freeing and fun to do this. And then the back, just a really crazy, messy back page. Again, because my son had really doodled quite a bit. So this is me like painting on top of it and just having fun. Filling up the last random pages here with just doodles and color. Oh, and a foot. There you go. And that is it. So there you have it. There is a little peek into my off-camera crinkle. Again, I really love this sketchbook. This was so much fun to work in. I will put a link for it down below. It is going to be an affiliate Amazon link if you want to get your hands on one. I did just buy a second one, and I got it in the lime green color. It's like a crazy bright green. So I'm really excited to start working into my next off-camera crinkle. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every week. Again, links to everything is down below. And if you're looking for more exclusive video content, you can join me over on Patreon or not. And I'll just see you next week for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!